A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Gaming with KaijuForceNeo. Now, in the last episode, you may have heard my voice a bit more differently, but that's only because I had some hiccups, I've had some trouble trying to figure out what I was trying to say, and I also had a few other problems, but mainly it had something to do with the fact that, well, like I've said many times over and over again, and it looks like I just messed up on that part, I have had many times where I would have trouble trying to figure out what to say due to the fact that my mind isn't as much of a fast processor in terms of speech as it has been. Simply because I store too much information. And, of course, for those who have actually done research, or for those who have actually learned from any of my previous episodes of Gaming with KaijuForceNeo, or anything in particular where I have actually done voiceover work in anything at all, then you would have found out exactly how storing too much information within one's brain could cause problems in the future. And of course, I happen to be one of those people out there who have so much information stored within the mind that, well, of course, it would only make sense for some problems to appear. It's just like when you have yourself an old computer, let's say. If there's too much information, like cookies, viruses, any kind of data that fills up, any kind of junk files, anything at all, really, that associates with taking up space on a memory, or a hard drive, of course, as it's known as in the world of computers and technology, then occasionally what could happen is that for the most part, if there's too much memory being used, the computer can run slowly. A computer can occasionally crash in certain applications. A computer can also have some issues with booting up or shutting off for the most part. It might also have issues with trying to close out certain applications or open them. And there would also be certain glitches or something like that where there would be messages saying that you are about to have a duplicate of a certain application which claims to already be open, but yet it's not open at all. So, in a way, it's just like what happens with my Asus X555 laptop, which I still use to make my videos nonetheless. I do tend to suffer from certain speech delays that would take place, especially when it comes to having too much information stored within my own mind. And, of course, with all that being said, I sure hope that you'd all bear with me at this moment, because right from here on out, I would surely expect more to come, simply because I just would not want to have any more delays take place. I would just want to start simply from scratch. A clean slate, in a way. I mean, that's the second time that I've said it in a while. But right now, I would most likely just want to continue onwards with as much of my voiceover work as I can, and of course continue my work with Marcus Theaters. And for those who would want to know right away, I do have plenty of shifts coming up, and so some of these shifts might impede some of my future work because, well, some of my future work has in fact been impeded almost severely, to the point at which that I would not actually continue my work on it. But yet at the same time, I still feel like I would want to continue working on it. I would just need to figure out a time as to how busy I would end up becoming, because it's not only the fact that, well, I've got 2 full-time jobs, one of which is paying really well, and the other is not paying me really well, along with the fact that, well, Netflix has started coming back into mind, along with certain other things in the past of mine. I don't know if there are going to be issues in the future, but yet, I guess there's only one way to find out. Simply because I just would not want to have any problems go on in my life, and look at that, I just fell asleep for the 3rd time in this episode so far. It's really amazing that when it comes to having a lot of things to talk about in a certain video of yours, time would end up flying a bit quickly, simply because you have yourself a particular topic of yours that you would like to discuss about in a certain video of yours that you're planning to upload to YouTube at any given point throughout the day, of which that you are having yourself an active lifestyle of which that you intend to work and then you intend to relax. But for me, it's morely about the work than about relaxation. And just like that, you might have just heard these last few minutes, I was pretty much on edge with my voiceover work, simply because I guess much of this information that's stored within my mind, it's not entirely that troublesome. It's just becoming some content on my own channel. It's starting to become content that I'd like to share with anybody. I guess I feel better about myself in terms of how my voiceover work would become at certain points in the future. Two of which that I would end up having my sole voiceover work that I enjoy doing every single day, simply because interaction really is a pretty big way to enjoy life, as you know it. But, of course, the future right now, of which just does not have too much beneficial aspects to it, besides the fact that, well, there have been plenty of countless intriguing inventions that we've come across. If you've looked at the channel Insider, or Business Insider, or Tech Insider, basically the series of Insider videos on YouTube, then you would have seen for yourself exactly how nationwide attention is getting onto certain inventions that were brought up by certain curators out there. And I could say for myself that I really do enjoy Insider's work based on what they do in terms of researching particular products that have just come across the internet and are making way towards becoming a huge popularity and possibly even a massive success. And I guess for right now, all I'm saying right now is that I've got myself quite a lot to talk about. And already I'm more than 7 minutes in to this gaming episode right now. And of course there are going to be a few more minutes to go for me, but before I'd like to go any further, I would just want to give a huge shout out to Connor Bant on Twitter. Connor Bant was a pretty big fan of my work, even from the last 4 or 5 years. Of course, those times were kind of more my dark days, two of which that my channel had been put into the shadows, and my Twitter hasn't been entirely as active as it has been nowadays. Although, come to think of it, my Twitter accounts, because I still have two, of course. I still have KaijuForceNeo as my primary Twitter account, and KFN 2.0 as my second. And KFN 2.0 still does serve its purpose as becoming my backup account in case the KaijuForceNeo one, aka the original one, ends up in any kind of trouble of which that I would normally not come across every day. But speaking of problems, I don't exactly have as much problems going on between me and the CEOs of Twitter itself. Simply because, well, let's face it, I've not done anything wrong at all. My affiliation with the Gain Tweet community shouldn't be as troublesome as many people might anticipate, because Twitter is intercepting it as if it's something relative to spam. Now, why would they even think about spam? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, why would it be spam? Out of all the things that I would come across, even as to what would normally explain as to how certain behaviors on the internet would be intercepted as something as cruel or as positive towards one's community or one's lifestyle, out of all the things in the world, why spam? Why would it have to be spam that Twitter would intercept any of my lifestyles on the internet happen to be? Although, even though I'm no longer exactly under Twitter's radar, it has come to terms with me that it's just a prime time for me to consider a lot of options right now. Of course, my current option and my best option is to stay the course because, of course, I'm actually losing followers right now. Even though I'm still having a heavy affiliation with the Gain Tweet community, it's become clear by now that I have lost more than 2,500 followers within the last several months. I'm not even joking. Ever since 2017, when I had hit my 10,000 followers mark, and eventually hit my 20,000 followers mark, I had felt more than just excited as to what the Gain Tweet community would have to offer, based on anything other than the fact that I would end up gaining some more followers and the fact that I would also try to make new friends if I had to. It would offer me a lot more than just tweets that would say, follow everyone that retweets this, follow everyone that likes this, follow everyone that comments IFB, which does stand for I follow back, in case nobody ever knew about the IFB tweets. But, of course, my affiliation with that particular community online, it shouldn't be regarded as something very troublesome or something that would serve as something that could be intercepted as, let's say, a criminal act. Because in reality, criminal acts have something to do with someone who is not obeying the law. And of course, in terms of internet crimes, I guess I probably would want to save subjects like those for another time, because I feel like I'm just going way in too deep, and I'm probably going to have to close out on this episode within the minute or so. This next minute or so might be the last amount of time that I have left to try to talk about anything that I got on me, but I guess I'm just wasting my time now trying to remind myself exactly how well am I going to do on any of my voiceover work, regardless of the fact that I have a lot of subjects on my mind that I would like to talk about, or if there's just barely any at all. Though I feel like right now, this is probably the time to which that I should be closing out now. So, if you want to see more, go down on my channel. Stay tuned for more Gaming with KaijuForceNeo videos, and please like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.